we're brave and we're bold. Defeating our rivals never gets old. Making our way to the Big Sky Conference. Watch out, 'cause here comes the silver and gold. Whoa, whoa. This is Tubbs at the club for the Vandals of Idaho.
Welcome back, Tribe from the North, Brave and Bold, to the official, unofficial podcast of your Idaho Vandals and your Vandal affiliate on the Big Sky Podcast Network. I'm your host, Chris Hammond, and joining me today we have Alex, the Boat Boatman. How the heck are you, Alex?
You know, it's going all right out here. Big game this weekend. Tune in FS1, 9 a.m. Pacific time. Watch my Mountaineers take down number 15 Virginia Tech.
Does he not know what show this podcast is for, or what team's podcast is for?
Only one school here pays me, Brian. Okay, so do it. Blame the University of Idaho for that one. All right.
I just like how you moved to like whatever the Appalachians, wherever the hell you are.
Correct.
And now you're officially like Steelers in West Virginia, like on.
Oh,
E3.
it's perfect. I was already a Steelers fan, and then I get here and realize, wait a minute, everyone here is a Steelers fan. This is fantastic. I'm at home. I finally got out of the hellhole that is Pacific Northwest with all the Seahawk fans. Yes, yes, yes. Shots fired. Okay, it's been like, man, my team's so far away my whole life, and now it's like I turn on local TV and there they are. Like I didn't have to like. You pay out of the freaking roof for Sunday ticket to watch their local feed. I actually get it on my list of channels. So yeah, I'm feeling happy. We beat the Bills. Like, come on now, let me be happy about it. We're not supposed to win that game.
And somebody who's a better fan than every member of the Bills Mafia, the Professor Brian Marceau. How are you?
I'm doing great. I was doing research for this Vandal podcast, but thank God I just got my Appalachia update from Alex. Like I'm still going to harp on this. We come here to talk about the Vandals in Moscow. Alex dives in, dude. You all know we means Pittsburgh Steelers, right, guys? That's what we means on this show. Yeah, we won. We beat the Bills. But anyway, doing great.
Black and gold. Black and gold.
Black and yellow. Black, yeah, whatever. And running the show from the shadows, producer Damer. How the heck are you, Dallas?
I am fantastic, gentlemen. I'll leave you with 4 letters. MMFS.
I have no idea what you're talking about. Show? Like, I accept I should know. I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Can you guess what the middle two are? M and F.
Well, I'm kind of a cat behind you, so no.
Or we're leaving the explicit.
I am wearing a Rams hat.
Oh,
M and S are initials.
Mathew, Stafford.
For the first time,
Stafford.
Yeah. Dallas is having a great time.
I didn't want to leave the show off with a huge explicit, but yes, Boatman, I am having the time of my life. I forgot what it looks like to have a real quarterback.
He looked fantastic. And before we go any farther, I need to address the MCFC and Mile High comment calling me a glory hunter. I want everyone to know that I am a Seattle Mariners fan through and through. I do not glory hunt. I'm a Vandal fan. Do not call me a glory hunter. If I was, I would have been a Boise State fan, but here I am also suffering through 20 years of Mariners suffrage. Okay. Still holding out hope. The Blue Jays are going to choke here. We're going to sweep the Red Sox somehow. Holding out hope and make the playoffs, but it won't happen. Not a glory hunter. Let me have this for the weekend.
This show went off the rails rather quickly, but
yes.
While we're off the rails, isn't it crazy to think the Vandals have had like a significantly better past 22 years than the Seattle Mariners? I guess just 20 years.
Go
2
Vandals.
decades. Go Vandals. Hey, so all you Vandal fans out there that aren't Mariners fans, congratulations. You've had a better decade than Alex and I. Anywho, on to like actually talking Idaho. This is going to be an interesting pod. I wasn't even aware of this. Sorry, long weekend down in Indiana. But apparently we didn't do a review show. Is that I think I heard that through the grapevine. Somebody was like, "Hey, are you guys going to do a review?" I was like, thought it happened, so we're going to do it today. So double whammy for all you guys, because there's so much to cover from Indiana, of course.
I will completely take the blame for no review show, guys. You want to send hate mail completely to Brian Marceau? I can show you the receipts. I texted Dallas, "Hey, let's just not do a show then."
And to be fair, I didn't push back. I was like, "Yeah, that sounds good to me." That profanity.
Dallas has been on the show
Fuck
less,
that
so
shit.
you can say this was unfair peer pressure from a supervisor or something like that. Whatever. Not that we have supervisors on the show. Anyway, we're still off the rails. I'm going to throw it back to Chris to keep the show going on.
Let's just start pulling some tabs. Brought to you by Hughes River Expedition. Get the show. Whoop, 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 whoop. I don't know what that was, but that was a train back on the track. For those of you that listeners are like, I don't even. That was probably even weirder than for the people that watched it. All right, we're gonna go typical clockwise for you watchers on the screens there. So we'll go Brian, Boatman, myself, and then Dallas will jump in whenever he thinks we're being dumb or overly intelligent. Probably not much of the latter. Brian, pull your tab.
We're going to start off with, did we learn anything from Idaho going down 56-14 at Indiana University in Bloomington, Indiana? Quick stats just to give you guys a reference point. Mike Beaudry is kind of our maybe the story of this game for us. 23 completions on 36 attempts for 196 yards and 2 touchdowns. But I mean, this is a game that, like our show, guys. This game is off the rails pretty quick. So, Boatman, what did we learn from this game?
Yeah, from this game, anytime you have to go play a Power 5 opponent or any halfway decent opponent, special teams matter. And this is the perfect tap for me to talk about because here I am, right? We got exposed on special teams. We didn't really get a chance to showcase our coverage teams too much against Simon Fraser. So the fact that we gave up 19.3 yards of return on punts is not great. You are having a lot of problems. And then on kickoff return, we get 37 yards of return on kickoffs, which is not great too. So automatically we were putting ourselves in a hole. We gave up a blocked punt. Probably gave up multiple scores because of special teams. Anytime you go play an opponent like this or any halfway decent opponent, we're playing Montana or Eastern Washington, you have to play clean here if you want a chance to win. I do not envy these guys in practice who probably just got to practice probably like half an hour ago in Moscow. For their first practice of the week, drilling special teams. They're going to be having a rough time. Kind of breaking down some of the stats though that kind of showed me how this game went. We averaged 4.3 yards a play. They averaged 4.8. So we didn't get completely buried in terms of stats when you compare offenses and defenses to each other. We held our own in that regards. But we need to convert more on third downs. Only going 3 of 14 is not great while getting up 7 of 15. So the fact we put them in 15 third down situations is fantastic, but we need to make that more down closer to 40 to 35% and boost ours up to about 50% as well if you want a chance to compete in these games. So some positives, I think there is. It's going to be hard to pull those positives out of the stat line when you just look at the score, right? Go, oh, Idaho lost 56-14. If you dig down into it, the causations of that score line, and then also look for maybe some positives, like I was pulling out there from those numbers. There is sign of life. We out-threw Indiana. I mean, I know they ran the ball a lot, but hey, we did something better than they did. We threw the ball better. So I will take that every day of the week, especially in a Big Sky Conference where quarterback play means a whole lot. Chris.
What I learned from this game, I don't want to step on the article too much, but Stephen Wiebe, haven't met him yet. The new Lewiston Tribune, a beat writer for the Vandals, actually did a really good piece on this. So go check it out. If you don't pay the Lewiston Tribune already. But he basically covered it. Special teams kind of, it made this game look a lot worse than it actually was. That being said, I mean, there's still not like there's a ton of good to take away, but when you have 2 blocked punts, one that actually gets ran back for a touchdown, then you have one that gave them the ball and they scored 4 plays later because it was like on Idaho's 32, and then they house a 81-yard touchdown. Not to mention we fumble in the red zone and get them easy scores. Like there's 21 to 28 points that were almost just given to Indiana in this one. That you can't really put on our defense, right? Like the defense, all in all, struggled with, I think it was Carr, that running back who came in from Indiana, the transfer from USC. he gave us a little bit of a hard time, rush for something like over 100 and something yards. But otherwise, like Trey Walker on fire, 16 total tackles. The defense, another guy, like we kind of touched on it last week. It appears it's going to be true. Noah Ellis appears to like maybe have finally like figured it out this offseason and like is kind of showing bits of that potential. He was really clogging up holes, you know, and he was just in there interfering. Chuck O'Connell kind of looked, you saw flashes of old Chuck. So there's some positives to take away from there. All in all, I mean, like you said, the defense at the end of the day, Indiana has a good offense. It's probably their best offense they've ever had. It's deceiving because we just saw them come off of Iowa. That team is really good. And there was a reason why they're a top, 17 team to start the season. Like, they were extremely good. I think our defense did a decent enough job. I was actually surprised a little bit by how well the secondary played, just because, like, just not something you're used to them seeing. And they actually did better than I thought. Not saying it was great, but once again, it's so hard to take anything away from this game. The benefit, though, is like, unlike Simon Fraser, there are some things you've learned you can work on. You're going to be able to learn that, yeah, the fact that we didn't punt against Simon Fraser killed us, because when it came to a good team having to punt with no live game reps, we flat out failed. We got blocked. We let one house for like 80-something yards. That's not good. But we know that now, and we can kind of take those things and work on it this week in practice, where before coming off Simon Fraser, it's, oh, who's you do's? Oh, this is so awesome. Everything like that. All in all, defense, to wrap it up, played great. Offense still appears to be a little bit of a strong, or like a weak spot. I don't think Indiana has a good defense, but I'm not going to say this is like, oh, it's a world-beating defense, so it makes sense our offense had some of the struggles that it did. Beaudry looked, fine, pedestrian, not great, not bad. I think you maybe see where this trend was going, which I don't want to flirt too much with the Oregon State game here, but it seems to me like the plan was to give each of these guys half in the D2 game, and then each of them will get a majority in a Power 5 game. We just saw Beaudry's Power 5 game. I would expect we see a little bit more of CJ against Oregon State. But we'll see. That's kind of my takeaway. It looks like this was Beaudry's game. Defense played decent. The score is deceiving because really our special teams gave up 21 points and our offense gave up 7 points. So all in all, defense, I would say, if anything, it's like a C+ for this game. It was by far our best unit. Brian?
I might have watched a different game. I thought we were going to lose by a lot, and I think fans should have expected. Indiana's a good Power 5 team, so like I'm not going to dwell too much on a ton of it. I don't think we learned a lot, other than Idaho is certainly not the kind of team that's going to push a Power 5 team right now, which means there's probably no reason to believe we're going to push some of the top of our conference as far as like compete for a playoff spot. I think that stuff was kind of understood anyway. A couple points that I'll hit on. Honestly, I kind of felt like we were Simon Fraser in this game compared to the week before, because Indiana, they had subs in pretty early. I think they could have scored 100 if they wanted to. 56 points on fewer than 350 yards of offense is pretty incredible. But we saw Cottrell out there for the first time this year, and Cottrell looked absolutely fine against Indiana. So I think he's going to continue to look solid. I think, I'm not trying to take the cop out here. The big thing for us was to get out of there without a ton of injuries, and we did. We didn't lose any key guys that I'm aware of, Alex. And other than that, we got to fund our athletic department in the way that matters for us. I'll skip the quarterback thing for now, but I guess I just want us to get to a point sometime where we're not getting annihilated in some of these FBS games, like we did this time, like we talked about last week, Penn State, like we talked about in 2018, Fresno State. But the big thing for me to take away is in the same way that I thought we needed to do great against Simon Fraser to give us a nice headline to ignore this game. We didn't give ourselves any great positive headlines in my mind to fans, but we're playing our schedule out of script. We should have killed Simon Fraser. We killed him. We should have lost to Indiana by a lot, and we did. Exhale, we're that much closer to the start of conference play, Dallas.
Yeah, I would probably second much of that. I wish I hadn't watched all of this game. Indiana pulled their starters midway through the third. We held them to a punt, incredibly. I think it was 42-7 at that point. And then, or maybe it was 42-14. It was right after we scored. It was 42-14. They had one last drive with the starters, then they punted, and then its second string guys came in after that. I did feel the same way as you, Brian. I think it does circle back to what Boat and Chris said. That special teams obviously did not help when you're making possessions so short, or just punt, return, touchdown. Those kind of things just add up and make things look worse than they are. I don't know if they could have hit 100 points if they would have played starters all 4 quarters, but I didn't see a bunch of positives there. I will say Beaudry, I thought, had a couple really nice throws that, if that's Beaudry at his highest, that is a very good Big Sky quarterback. I think what we've discussed at length for a season and a half now is the inconsistency is there, and there's sometimes the throws that are miles over a guy's head, and you're kind of left wondering what happened there. If he could iron out that inconsistency, I would feel much better about our quarterback spot as it is, but not a ton of other positives from that. It felt to me, and we kind of spoke about it when we determined we weren't going to do a recap. This did feel to me the same way that we were Simon Fraser, and we were outclassed in every single facet of the game. They were so much bigger, so much faster, so much smarter. It felt like they executed way better than we did, and they had the size and strength to back it up. And it is what it is. You go get the huge paycheck. You live to fight another day. We got out of there without any major injuries that I can remember, and that's all you can hope for.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like a couple more touch points here before I pull the next sack. We only get up 2 sacks. That's a positive, right? We're playing a Power 5 team. That's fantastic. Keep your quarterback clean. Good to see from a young offensive line that we haven't seen much positives from the last spring in 2 games. So look at it like that. Giving up special teams points, never great. This is an Indiana team. I wouldn't say necessarily we were Simon Fraser, right? We held Simon Fraser to 5 yards of offense in the first half. Okay. We weren't quite that terrible. This Indiana team is ranked 31st in the country according to the AP poll. Okay. Do with that as you will. Good football team. We're an FCS team. Time to move on. But speaking of sacks, keeping the quarterback clean, time for your perpetual Idaho talks about quarterbacks, because here we are, folks. It wouldn't be a Tubbs of Club podcast without us discussing our quarterback situation.
Do you think if we ever didn't talk about the quarterbacks, they just figure it out? Maybe we're the jinx. Because it's been happening long before us. Never mind. What am I saying?
Yeah. So like everyone saw, Beaudry took a large majority of the snaps. CJ went 0 for 3, had 1 rushing attempt for 5 yards. Beaudry 23 for 36, 196 yards, 2 TDs with a lawn of 23, and had 32 rushing yards. I mean, not a terrible stat line right against Power 5 team. Even against these backups, you are supposed to assume these backups could still play at a group of 5 level. Right, not a terrible stat line from Beaudry. Chris, I know you kind of hinted to what you want to talk about first. Do you think we're going to see more of CJ? I had kind of heard pregame that we were going to see Beaudry predominantly. I only got that information right before kickoff. So are you thinking we're going to see more of CJ, or are you thinking wait a minute, he's settled on CJ, he wants to save him for the conference, or do you think he settled on Beaudry and this is our guy now?
So I think kind of what I said there, I think maybe there was a little bit of intention of having them still play a little bit more, but obviously he started CJ. Well, he started Borish, but technically CJ played most of the first quarter against Simon Fraser. I thought that's kind of how it was going to be opposite this time. Mike gets first. It did seem he put Jordan in, I think with 53 seconds left in the first, gave him 1 possession basically. And I think at that point he said, you know what? I'm just going to give Beaudry this. And honestly, I'm okay with that call. Beaudry coming from UConn. This is a game and type of team he's a little bit more comfortable playing. So I think having Beaudry, and if you're going quarterback competition, giving him the majority of the game against Indiana, letting him get into a full rhythm. And like we saw, or like Dallas said, probably his best performance and not second best performance we've seen out of him against probably the toughest team he's played. So like all in all, like you look at that and you go, okay, like maybe. I think with this next game, you'll probably see the same with CJ. I think Mike will still get like maybe a possession or two, but I think, and I would hope, I guess more so, that Paul is planning on having this be more of a CJ Jordan showcase game. One, CJ being from the state of Oregon, well, Washington, but basically the state of Oregon in the Portland area. This Oregon State game is going to feel a little bit more like home. There's probably some players in Oregon State he's played against in his high school ranks. So this is a team that CJ Jordan is probably going to be more comfortable playing against than the team like Indiana. In terms of like, not that either of them would be uncomfortable, right? But like, if you're the coach, like this guy's probably seen some of these kids before. Let's give CJ Oregon State. Let's give Mike Indiana, because like being at UConn, he probably some teams overlap, whatever. So I'm expecting this game we see, 80% of the snaps going to CJ. I'd like to see maybe Boris get a little bit more of a run, and then Mike 1 or 2 possessions. And I think that leads into your competition for UC Davis. Okay, we did a game where they each got half. We got a Power 5 game where each of them got to get in a rhythm and play the whole game. What do we think going in the conference play?
I guess before we go on here, I have a question. Does Beaudry's performance against Indiana change your thought on who maybe the starter should be?
No, I'm still leading Jordan. I just I've been less down on Beaudry than other people. This is more what I expected a Beaudry-led team to look like. That's kind of what I saw. Do I think he can replicate it every single week? No, I think it was one of his better ones, but I kind of agree with what Dallas said. Like, if Beaudry is the guy and we can have him a full season, I mean, we should still be about where we thought we would be, especially since he's the one who helped us beat Eastern in week 1 last year. Like, I think Beaudry is an all right quarterback. I think we'll do all right with Beaudry at quarterback, but I think when we talk about the ceiling of this team could be high, that is basically the X factor of if CJ Jordan can kind of come out of nowhere and be one of those big sky quarterbacks that all of a sudden just takes over and our team goes from, bottom dweller mid-tier to top, like a Sac State, like a UC Davis. I think that's what we're looking at is like CJ Jordan could be that X factor that makes our ceiling a little higher. I think what we all predicted on is basically what we think like a Beaudry-led team can do. Brian?
Yeah. I hope that what you're talking about, Chris, is what we see on the field, as in, because also just from the sake of understanding what people could do, it would be nice to see both guys get essentially a full game to call theirs. Because CJ was out for 2 series. He did look a little nervous, or I don't know. I don't want to say rattled. That sounds too strong, but some of the accuracy we've talked about on this show with CJ that we were pretty ecstatic about. Wasn't there in those 3 throws. He had a couple misses that, on an average game, I would have expected that to be a completion. And then he didn't come back in. I think if he come back in, I have no doubt he would have settled down and, had a better stat line. But, Beaudry was exactly the kind of thing we've seen for much of the season. And, good news, bad news. The bad news, 5.4 yards per attempt. We had that issue in the spring where Beaudry kind of struggles to break big plays. Now, I didn't expect big plays to be broken against Indiana. No one should have. But 5.4 yards per attempt is right in line with being pretty dang conservative. And if that's what we're going to see out of Beaudry, we're going to have to see completion percentages like he had, which was 63.4%. That's fantastic. If he can do that, then those, short passes can lead to more points. That, fingers crossed that's the version of Beaudry. If this is the offense we get with Beaudry, if he's playing, this is the version that we get, because that would be an improvement over the spring. If he played like that every game this spring, we would have won at least one more game. I do hope we get to see more from CJ, because I think the ceiling's higher, but also I think it was good for fans, even us, to get a reality check, because CJ had only played against Southern Utah and Simon Fraser. And I bring that up because he's a freshman. I know he's a weird COVID freshman, so he has extra eligibility. But if he's the guy, we're going to see some outings that are not as sharp, because that's part of being young. Vandal fans just do have to get acquainted with this. We know he can be very good. But we're going to see some performances that are not apex at some point. And we got to see a little bit of what he looked like and when he's not at his best. And I'm still okay with it. He was still strong on the ground. Arm is still strong. Just need to settle down a little bit, and he would have been fine. So I think what I learned is, Chris, I hope your take is right, because math-wise, Beaudry clearly is getting starter snaps over the course of the average of the 2 games. So if you're like us, you're kind of pulling for CJ. I hope he gets the full the full game. But if you're just going off of math, at this point, you'd have to say Beaudry looks like the leader because he's the guy who's taken by far the greater volume of snaps.
Yeah. So real quick question before we pull onto a new tap. Let's say he does play this game. Looks whatever, not enough to win the job. Officially played in 3 games. He has 1 more to save a red shirt. Is it officially kind of bench him unless emergency situation Beaudry goes down?
The he you're referring to is CJ right now.
Yeah,
Right?
like you're saying, like you said, we got that free red shirt year on him almost. If Paul doesn't think he's done enough, I think most of us will think he's done enough. Everybody I basically has talked to has said they think he's done enough. If Paul doesn't, is this one where you shelve him and only in case of emergency, like we are totally out. I guess the problem is with Nair out. You have nobody else with snaps, but Boris.
Yeah.
But otherwise it's like, okay, well now you have this opportunity to actually redshirt him and have him still be a redshirt freshman next year. But then obviously you also got to talk to the player because he might be like, no, I don't want to be a junior who's a redshirt freshman.
Yeah, so I'm going to answer both parts really quick, Chris. The reason you forgot Boris is because we need to hashtag let Boris throw at some point. If he's going to be quarterback, we might as well see him throw once in a while. But to answer your question, yeah, I mean, if Beaudry wins the job, if Idaho's season's going to go well, he needs to keep the job. So yeah, we have to hope that Beaudry puts us in a position where redshirting CJ is what you're going to do, because all of us have said 1,000 times we think Idaho needs stability there. We need a starter who is just our starter. Now the asterisk here is I think if Beaudry's named the starter in the season, like let's say after homecoming isn't looking so great, I do think we should look at we need to start transitioning for the next season. But at this point, Chris, yeah. If Beaudry wins the job, you got to hope that he plays well enough that CJ redshirts.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat there. I think if Beaudry does win the job, I would rather see Beaudry win. If he does win the job, I'd rather see him win the job and keep the job and not play 2 quarterback roulette. This is obviously excluding Zach Borich because that just should not count. View him as your Taysom Hill. Idaho fans, just think of that in your mind, right? You're going to see him. You're going to see him in gadgety situations. Get used to it. That's what he's going to be. Even if CJ's a quarterback, we're still going to bring in Zach to run some gadget plays.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think I would. And even if you're the player, even if you are the player and you don't want this job, I would be okay with being redshirted. And the only reason why is college athletics has changed so much to where players have freedoms to do more now than they ever used to. And I don't want to put this out there in the world, Idaho fans, but like that's just college athletics as a whole. You don't view guys. Not everyone stays for 4 years or 5 years, and this is their team. Guys get free transfers now. Obviously we're viewing him as the guy no matter what come 2022. But you have to look out for numero uno, and that is yourself and your own opportunities.
Yeah, we don't need another Jake Luton, like somebody that just goes, I'm not getting the opportunity, I'm out, and then they
the
NFL. And opponent.
But the Jake Luton situation is interesting, right? And that's such a hindsight call. Matt won us a bowl game that year, so it's really hard to say that you're going to play Jake Luton. I think he had the more talent, but he went with the safer situation and who he knew. But anyway, I could get into that whole conversation. And Jake did what was best for him, right? So you see guys make that call more now, but now you don't have to go that JUCO route to get back up. You can just get that free transfer and go to another Big Sky school or Mountain West school right away. Anyway, I think if it's not, I think he should look to redshirt him unless shit does hit the fan, the train leaves the tracks, something bad happens, But if you're going to start Beaudry come UC Davis, start and play him until something bad happens. And then real quick shout out to Hayden Hatton. What a game. 10 catches, 94 yards, 2 touchdowns. That we haven't mentioned his name yet, and that kid is our best player against Indiana by far. Him and Trey Walker deserve all the credit in the world. Those are big-time performances against a big-time team on a big-time stage on national TV. So shout out to Hayden Hatton and shout out to Trey Walker.
Yeah, we had actual Indiana people behind me. They're all around me. I was on their season ticket side for the first half. That were like, all right, who are your good players? So I kind of explained to them like our quarterback situation, and then Trey Walker, and then Therese Trainer, and all those guys coming in, and Roshan. And then I go, well, like, if you're in no one, it's number 8. And then literally every time he like had a tackle or whatever, they just go like, dude. I'm like, I mean, it's not like I was guessing. I was telling you he was going to be our best player. But every time they'd be like, hey, yeah, you're right. He's pretty good. It's like, yeah, he is. But, and shout out to his dad, Albert. I ran into him in the second half and kind of chatted with him. And he's a good guy. Good guy. If anyone makes it to Davis, California, he's playing at a big old tailgate for that one. I'll also be in Oregon State this weekend. You can't miss them. All those dude, the players' families are so fun. They all got like their kids' shirts, like the Trez trainer ones. They got like him in camp. But yeah, I don't know. It was good time talking to Albert. And then a couple of the other people I met. Shout out to Mathew Janicek, who I got to meet too, one of our Patreon members. But yeah, anyway, sorry, moving on from that. But Trey Walker, absolute beast. Dad, awesome. Patreons, also awesome. Brian, I think you get a pull tap.
Yeah, and I think we're closing in on talking about that other Power 5 game, Chris. Playing Oregon State this week in Corvallis. And other than the brain dead, like probably we want to have a score closer than what we saw in Indiana. We got to know what the goals are for Oregon State too. Because, I mean, Vandal fans, again, this is just a world we're in right now financially. We're going to have to deal with playing 2 rough games a year right now. And see what we can learn, not get too down on if the games are rough, and not get too high if we just, we have some bright spots and think that means, we're going to go win the championship or something. But Alex, you're the former player here, dude. What should our goals be for Oregon State?
Again, don't shoot yourselves in the foot. Take away, right? If you're going to lose a game, let it be because the other team's better than you, not because you beat yourself, right? And we're assuming that Oregon State's a better team. Don't assume that. We know Oregon State is a better team right there in the Pac-12, but don't make the scoreline bigger like the Indiana game because you make your own mistakes. Our goal should be play a clean special teams game. I cannot reiterate that enough, right? Like, people always forget about this third phase of the game. I'm going to talk about it because here I am. But it matters, right? We're seeing big chunks of yardage happen on one play. Never in any other play in football is such a massive chunk of yardage up than a punt. They average 20, like on a punt return, they average 20 yards a punt return for Indiana because over the weekend, right? Like that's 2 first downs. Your chance of scoring goes up exponentially when you do that. We learn how to block, obviously, because that didn't work out so well for us. We gave it 2 block punts. I mean, come on now. Like, I know Idaho, we're running the same damn protections that I ran when we were there, and we'd never really give a block punt. The only time you give a block punt wasn't because the protection broke down. It was because we did not correct it. I saw us actually give up a little block punt, the first one, and I knew exactly right away why it happened. I could see it. Our protection didn't change the way it should have been. Those are just little mental mistakes that you cannot make in games like this or games moving forward. So we got to clean up that execution because if we do even want to beat UC Davis, where we actually had a punt blocked in 2018 because we had bad execution, we can't have another punt blocked. Like, that's just unacceptable. And I know those guys today is punt day. Tuesday is the day you go over punt. When we played Fresno State in 2018, we had 2 field goals blocked. We ran 30 straight reps of PAT field goal block live. Like, usually you don't go live and full out. Like, you don't put 1v1s in that situation, like, and tell them just to, like, Coach Petrino said, we are going to go full out. I want you guys to go after everyone. We are working on protection. I have a feeling punt team today went a little bit longer, a little bit more intense, and it wasn't just the usual scout team guys out there. It was probably not a fun period to be involved with, if I have to guess. So that's my goal for the game. Clean up dumb mistakes starting in special teams, because if you can't fix it there, boy, guys, we are in for a long season.
Yeah. So, Boatman, real quick, I got a question for you before we move on. I did make the mistake for prepping for this episode of going to the dark hole of all Vandals. A lot of people were calling for the special teams coordinator to be fired. Would you care to elaborate to the people what the Idaho Vandal situation is for a special teams coordinator? And in that case, most of the FCS are G5.
Yeah, I mean, our special teams coordinator is also one of our linebacker coaches. It's Adam Bresky. He was there my last year. Usually you don't have a designated special teams coordinator at the FCS or Group of 5 level. You have a position coach as well, but they do take a lot of pride and responsibility in this part of the game. But also every special teams period, Coach Petrino is overseeing everything, right? He is really hands-on when it comes to special teams. So I know this does not make him happy. We just didn't execute our assignments right. And so I think it's not that you're not going to fire the special teams coordinator after one bad game. We had a bad special teams game against Fresno State too in 2018. We've other had bad ones, but this is one of the worst ones I've seen, which hurts me. But you're not just going to fire the special teams coordinator. Coach Bresky's great. But I will say Idaho special teams, when we go back to 2015-16, we were ranked toward the top of the country in ESPN efficiency and FBS and special teams. I'm not going to say we had some great cover teams. We weren't so good at returns, but there were some very specific individuals that made those teams great. They happened to wear number 5 for quite a few years and number 15 for quite a few years, hold some NCAA records. So nothing against our new specialists, right? But when you had guys like Cade and Rico, boy, it makes a hell of a difference. So I think Vandal fans maybe expect to come down to earth in that regards. And I guess also, I go long win on this, Logan Prescott usually has kick touchbacks, right? He didn't have any touchbacks this last week, which is unlike his numbers. I don't know if it had to deal with the outside environment in Bloomington, Chris. I don't know if the weather was crisp at night or if the ball was maybe a little weird, but
It was perfect.
Okay, see, that's not good to hear. He's usually a touchback machine, and instead of giving the ball 37 on average, we're getting the ball 25. There's a first down right there. So maybe just a bad night for him. So if we can get back to touchbacks, it alleviates having to work your cover team, and then maybe also because he kicks so many touchbacks, our cover team doesn't get enough work all the time. So I'm just going down a rabbit hole of special teams here. I could talk to you guys for hours because I've sat in hours and hours of special teams meetings.
Yeah. Moving on I will try to cover something other than special teams. Other than I 100% agree with you. We'll probably get a couple opportunities to punt. Hopefully not, but probably. Big one for this is Oregon State has a little bit of a reputation of losing to FCS teams. Lost to Sac State. They've lost to Eastern Washington. They've had multiple close games. This is one where it's actually brought up in Jonathan Smith's preview piece that he did at his press conference today, where he brought up how that is kind of something that they've had to deal with in recent years. And he's hoping that his senior leadership can be a part of making sure that that doesn't happen and they don't sleep on an opponent. And he used Washington as an example and basically said, yes, FCS teams come across as inferior. And as we covered, they obviously are. They have less scholarships, less money, less funding. But obviously, as we saw this year, there's 8 FCS games or wins over the FBS currently through 2 weeks, the most since 2017. So FBS teams are losing, one of which happened to be a Pac-12 school. So it's something that's alive and well in Oregon State's minds. It's just something that we've got to grind out. You're not going to be like Eastern Washington that can beat UNLV giving away the ball. You're going to have to be like Montana that forces mistakes. And whether we're going to be able to do that. The good news for us is if we don't, I don't think we're going to get the scoreline like we just did against Indiana. Jonathan Smith got his start at Idaho, right? He's from Oregon State, grad assistant, but he came to Idaho as part of Erickson's first staff and then went all the way through Aki to the bowl game, coaching quarterbacks. Then he went to Montana and actually worked with Adam Bresky. So he's got a little bit of friendship there. In his whole breakdown, he just literally raves about how much he loves Moscow, Idaho. So we've got that little bit going for us. Where he even talks about he drives up to the Palouse in the summer still. And he literally talks about how his favorite restaurant on earth, I enjoy the Breakfast Club for a bite of eggs and a great Benedict. He laughs. There's also another club I occasionally like to go to. Wink, wink. It's a great college town. So until last year, Jonathan Smith, a more frequent attender of the Corner Club than our producer, Dallas Hammer, he's got a little soft spot for us. He talks about how he still has great friends up there. So, I mean, we don't know what the spread is. I don't think he's going to take a pounding to us. The other thing to benefit from here, well, we'll get into this later with the next stat, but it's just going to be forcing mistakes. We didn't really cause Indiana any mistakes. In fact, Every time they went for it on fourth down, they went 3 for 3 last week. You can't let that happen. They did a good job of getting them the third down. Boatman covered it. We caused 13 third down attempts or whatever out of Indiana. But when you let them convert over half of them, and then you let them convert 100% on fourth downs, like, you're going to have to get those stops to be competitive in these games. You can't let an FBS team just like continue to grind you down. I mean, Indiana's first drive went for like 7 minutes. They kind of just like 6 yards, 3 yards, 2 yards, 1 yard, 6 yards, 1 yard, 3 yards, 4 yards. And like, it just burned us down. And like, we're going to have to come out a little stronger than that. If we're going to win the kickoff and take the ball, we can't go 3 and out. And then when we punt it back to them, we can't let them just have a methodical drive down the field. And then immediately when we get the ball back, shoot ourselves in the foot with a fumble and give them the ball on like the 30-yard line. So for me, takeaway for this is we're just going to have to play a little tougher. Defense has got to actually get those stops on third down and get those stops on fourth down. And then the offense can't be on 3 and outs. We can't be giving the ball away, and we need to do a better job of taking away the ball. Brian?
I want to see us come out and have I want us to look competitive early on. A Power 5 team, Vandal fans need to be okay with the fact that we should lose this by multiple scores. But, Chris, you hit on it towards the end. Indiana, end of the first quarter, we had 6 total yards against Indiana. We're down 21-0. The game just isn't competitive. I want Idaho. My goal for this is for Idaho. I don't care if it's just 1 quarter. I would like it to be 4 quarters, but I want to see early. I want to see Idaho try to hang in there for a while. And, you guys have touched about turnovers, obviously. FCS teams can't afford to turn the ball over against FBS teams and think they're going to be competitive. We can't afford to give up special teams, block punts. We can't give up kickoff returns for a touchdown. Those are just things that can't happen. And, yeah, we do want to clean them up. But big picture, I really want us to come out the gate with some fire, because we've also seen in the past when Idaho teams do well, they typically get to halftime with the lead. So are we going to lead it against Oregon State at half? Probably not. But I want us to look like a team that if we weren't playing Oregon State and we were playing, Montana maybe, or even, Northern Arizona, I want us to look like a team like, okay, well, yeah, I understand how this team could beat some of the teams in the Big Sky pretty bad. But fans do need to temper expectations a little bit. Oregon State just beat Hawaii. And 2 weeks ago, Hawaii beat top 5 Big Sky team Portland State. So no matter what hope we have, guys, just keep in mind, if you can beat Portland State, we know that means you're an elite program. So fingers crossed that we can stay competitive. But yeah, get a quick start, just make the game competitive, and get out of there without any injuries for our bye week.
Yeah. All right, for the quick little bit of optimism here, what has to go absolutely right for Idaho to win? My take will be easy. CJ Jordan, if he does get this as his game, his showcase game, I want him to literally look at Oregon State and go, you mothering, loving idiots did not give me an offer. Like, I'm going to show you how dumb you are, and have him just like, you talk about the fire, Brian. I want literally CJ Jordan is like almost, if the game is to be an upset, if we're going to have this freaking fear of the FCS be the 9th team to do it, it's going to be CJ Jordan led regardless. And CJ Jordan needs to come out and literally play like he's pissed that some of these schools pulled out on him, and that a school in his own backyard has been a bottom dweller of the Pac-12 for a long time. And I'm a Beaver believer. They've stunk for a long time. I want him to play pissed off, and also let Boris throw. Having a little bit more Boris probably would help. I think there's a chance Petrino saw a little bit better of an opportunity to beat Oregon State than Indiana. Oregon State, in theory, is a worse team than Indiana. Now, the margin of that, they're still a Pac-12 school. It's not going to be that much. But if there was a team more ripe for an upset, it's going to be Oregon State. It's optimism, so I'm not going to blow it by saying, but we'll probably won't pull it off. But yeah, that's mine. Is CJ Jordan's just got to come out firing, and Oregon State needs to just get knocked backwards early. I think, yeah.
I got to throw a question, Chris, real quick. And this actually jumps topics just because you referenced CJ.
Yeah.
Do you think there's a chance that part of why, I mean, I know you referenced the earlier strategy, but do you see a potential benefit of CJ not coming back in against Indiana being maybe strategy of like, okay, he's looking kind of, it's looking a little bit shaky. We just don't want to risk inventing any sort of problems. We're going to give him a clean slate for Oregon State. We're just done.
I think that's what I was saying immediately when I saw he wasn't coming back in, basically. Because he looked fine. He wasn't hurt. So I was like, I think what they did is they were like, okay, we're giving this game to Mike. Mike did look like he was getting more comfortable. To be fair, CJ, freshman, has never played in front of 47,000 fans or whatever is there. Like, he got his feet wet. He got to hear it. Last time we played Oregon State, they had about 40,000. So maybe get him that adjustment. And I think they went in and said, you know what? Like I said, he gives us the best chance against Oregon State, most likely, or at least in my opinion, I think so. I think maybe Paul's thinking that too, where he's like, if we're going to do it and give him a game, let's get him in, get his feet wet, and then let's save him for a full run at Oregon State. Plus, you're putting less film out there for Oregon State. If I think Paul's not going to roll over for 2 straight games. I think we're going to see a little bit more out of Idaho offensively against Oregon State. But once again, if it gets out of hand like it did 21-0, probably not. I think Paul looked at that when it's time to put in CJ and said, like, honestly, there's not a lot left. We still have to keep some stuff for UC Davis, and we've got another opportunity to wreck this next week.
If we're going to be UC Davis, we're going to be Oregon State. We're going to have to go +4 in turnover margin probably and have some big plays. Newsflash, this game is in the Pacific Northwest in Western Oregon. It is supposed to rain Saturday.
Who knew?
Right. Shocker. Which can actually be good and or bad for us. Wet weather. I don't know how hard the rain's going to be. If this might be a better game for CJ because of scrambling potential versus Mike. This could be a Boris type game. This could become, if weather does play a factor, wet ball, maybe that causes some turnovers for Oregon State, but it also can make it sloppy for us and not great. We are not a team accustomed to playing in bad weather. We have not really played in bad weather since we have been in the Big Sky. So we haven't played in like an all-out rain since
probably
Louisiana in 2014. Yeah. I don't think, guys, we've not played in the rain since 2014. So not going to be great if that's the case. So we really just need to take care of the ball if we're going to be Oregon State. We have to go +4 in turnover, and we got to take care of the football and make some plays. I want to see some big plays, right? Like, I think that's the thing. If we can make some explosive plays, gets the fans out of their seat, gets people clapping a little bit, I will be pretty happy with that.
Yeah. All right. That was Around the Bar, brought to you by Hughes River Expeditions. If you're looking for a great all-inclusive week-long vacation, don't look past your backyard. Venture into the largest protected wilderness in the continental United States, located right here in the great state of Idaho. Enjoy a multi-day trip down the middle fork of the Salmon, the main Salmon River of no return, the Salmon River Canyons, or the Selway. You can even check out special trips like you want to see the Perside Meteor Shower. Camp on pristine beaches, run amazing whitewater, hike scenic trails, spot wildlife, soak in beautiful natural hot springs, take in history all along the river's edge. Oh, and you get to fish some of the most remote stretches of river in the entire flipping country. You just bring your clothes and let HRE handle the rest. Hughes River Expeditions has been Vandal-owned and operated since 1976 and ready to take you on the vacation of a lifetime. Find out what it's like to catch dinner, grab the paddle, and ride the bull all throughout the great state of Idaho. Call them now at 800-262-1882 or check them out at hughesriver.com. Watching the TV, a.k.a. Big Sky Pick'em. Big week for Mr. Marceau. He increases his lead with an undefeated 12-0 pick. Yeah, you get a round of applause. But the rest of us are hot on your heels with a 11-1 record last week, which did nothing to catch us up because we are 19-4, so we are all still 2 games behind Brian. How does that math? Does that work? Does that add up right? Okay. Everyone's shaking their head at me. I believe them. Anyways, math, not my strong suit. All right, so let's pick them. Idaho at Oregon State. Boatman, it's got you listed first, so.
Oregon State. So for those of you who pay attention to my ESPN predictor last week, I said Idaho is like a 3.5% chance when according to ESPN. Guys, we are
4.5.
twice as much, 2 times more likely to win this game according to ESPN. 6.8% this week, guys. Okay, I'm going to say Oregon State by 3.5 scores.
Okay. Next up, it looks like Brian.
We're throwing a change up here. I'm
just going with the outline. Sorry.
No, it's okay. Like, we can produce in front of everyone. We've historically had person in first place go last. That's fine. Idaho is going to lose me. Oregon State's going to win something like 45-24.
Okay. I'm up next. I think special teams will be improved. There's no way we have 14 points. Well, I'm not going to say no way. We shouldn't have 14 points off turnovers. I think Idaho scores a little bit more points in this one. We lost to Indiana 56-14. I'm going to say this one, maybe we add an additional 6 points somewhere. I'll give it like 45-20 Oregon State.
Boy, that's just about what I was thinking. I'll go with 48-17.
Okay. So everybody's sitting at about 3.5 scores. Nice job, Boatman. We'll switch back to the normal way of picking and just go around the horn, saving Brian for last. San Diego at Montana State. I guess I'm up first in that case. I will take the Bobcats at home over the Toreros. Big. I mean, Cal Poly beat them big. Like, big. Hammer?
Sorry, didn't realize it was me next. Yeah.
Neither did I.
San Diego is absolute trash. Montana State by 1 million.
Boatman?
Bobcats and Bozeman.
And Brian, you taking the Toreros? You did take them last week, didn't you? No, that was Boatman. Somebody did.
No, I am doing quite well staying the hell away from picking San Diego. My question was week 1, do I pick San Diego or Cal Poly? And I managed to go Cal Poly. Montana State's going to win this big. Montana State's doing just what Montana's doing, padding those not very good FCS wins, but they matter for the playoffs. Really, I'm just wanting to see if Matt McKay looks solid like he did last week, threw for 256 against Drake, but Drake also sucks too.
Dallas, as I see producer Dallas doing some great producing right now because he's spot on, I imagine. Sac State at Cal. Sac State, by the way, looking like Chris was more right on them than what people gave me credit for. They don't look very good, but it's early.
Sac State's defense looks pretty good. They're definitely questioning their quarterback situation, but Cal, all the way Cal.
Give me the Bears in Berkeley.
I'm going to double down on my early season take on Sac State, which is I still think they're solid. They're competitive against UNI in spite of having 6 turnovers. If they can figure out how to not get 6 turnovers, which I believe in them, I think will be better. But their quarterback situation isn't resolved. That was a really, really long answer for Cal's going to win this, obviously.
All right. Next up, Lamar at Northern Colorado. Maybe the first true test of Northern Colorado. I know Houston Baptist, a lot of people saw what they were able to do against Texas Tech, but they lost their 2 wide receivers and quarterback. That team was not very good. Lamar should be better. I think this is one where Northern Colorado gets it. I think the long grass of Greeley, which has been holding them back. I think this turf, they're at home for the first time with this record. Decent, better than expected game against Colorado, a whooping of Houston Baptist. I think Greeley might have a sellout.
Wow.
The win.
I love that. I don't know about sellout, but definitely Northern Colorado.
Well, they only need 6,000 people to do it.
Yeah, it's true.
There's there's already 5,000 McCaffreys on the coaching staff, so you only need to find 1,000 more people.
But yeah, Northern Colorado. Lamar, if you look at the Sagarin rankings, not that that's like the end all be all, but Lamar is not good at all.
222. Yeah, I was just looking at the same thing, Dallas. Northern Colorado's rated ahead of Idaho and Sagarin ratings by 6 spots. So give me the Bears. Give me Northern Colorado in Northern Colorado.
Brad?
The intrigue here, I'm going to pick Northern Colorado. The intrigue here is Dylan McCaffrey, starting quarterback for Northern Colorado, went down with an injury. It's just generically described as upper body at this point. And his reserve, Martin's his last name. Shout out to our Martin. But backup quarterback for Northern Colorado, Connor Martin, was twice as effective as Dylan McCaffrey in terms of like yards per throw and throwing more touchdowns. So there might be a QB controversy brewing in McCaffrey land. Let's see if
Does
you're going to double
Daddy
up.
Ball move to Greeley?
Well, I mean, if you're going to double up and throw 2 touchdowns, people got to pay attention. But I mean, again, I pick Northern Colorado. I think they're gonna keep looking great early. Then they're gonna come down to earth with their schedule in the Big Sky.
All right. Next up, Eastern Washington, Western Illinois. God, directional schools stink. Eastern, big.
Yeah, this game's going to be a bloodbath. Eastern.
Give me the Eastern Eagles out east.
Yeah, Eastern Washington. They're also looking. I like that. I like that.
The most Eastern Washington's gonna play all year.
And they're playing Western Illinois. Anyway,
Illinois.
It's a directional maze. Boatman made sure to remind us of. Thank God, Alex. Yeah, Eastern Washington. Look, beating Central Washington means nothing, but hey, they still look fine against UNLV. Obviously, I'm curious to see if they do. If Eastern does continue to look like they're going to handle physicality a little bit better, which just means if they beat the hell out of Western Illinois, then maybe we read into it that they're doing better. But Eastern wins for sure.
All right, next up, Western Oregon at Portland State. I'm doing a quick Google map to see if it is east of Portland State. It is. That's also crazy. I love directional schools. Portland State, I mean, how do you not take the team that we were discussing pre-show is obviously better than Penn State because they are a top 5 Big Sky program.
I mean, you have to take the top 5 Big Sky program every time. PSU all the way.
Yeah, give me the home team in Hillsboro, otherwise known as the Portland State Vikings, not in Portland.
The Hillsboro Vikings.
So the Portland State wins. The 2 interesting things right now, you can buy tickets for as low as $13 for this game, which
That's
I'm just
That's
for it.
high.
Just for it. Just for it. But second, Bruce Barnum allegedly is offering to pay anyone's beer tab today, this Saturday at Hillsboro High. I'll find the tweet.
Allegedly.
I'll find the tweet so Dallas can throw it up there. It is published by a Portland area reporter. Barnum's allegedly saying, if you tell the bartender, Barnum bought it for me.
He's from the Oregonian, so he's verified. This is a verified Twitter account, so it's a true story.
So over under, will this lead to more than 3.9 people getting drunk?
Under.
Well, no, now I'm going over because world to the wise. For those that don't know, I'm going to JMU Weber State this weekend. Scratch that. I'm going to Portland State to hang out with Bruce Barnum. We're officially at 4. Next game, another directional school. It's fun stuff. Mm-hmm. Southern Utah
Welcome
playing
to the Big Sky.
more south than Southern Utah in the Dallas-Fort Worth area and Tarleton State. Neutral site game. Where are they playing? Arlington?
What?
Huh?
No.
The Star, maybe? That's wild. Anyways, well, now that throws me all off. I really want to take – no, I'm sticking with it. They're in the WAC. Yeah, you looked that up. I'm going to go with the Texans. I feel like that was a dumb choice. I feel like Southern Utah is going to win this, but, like, the whole WAC thing, I'm not over it. Although I'm happy they're leaving. It's just, I want to kick them out, not have them leave.
I would have loved to kick them out as well. Just for anybody that's morbidly curious, this is being played at Globe Life Field.
That's the old baseball field.
So
the ballpark in Arlington. The ballpark in Arlington.
That's actually kind of cool.
Yeah, I don't remember what it's called now.
Globe Life Park.
Yeah,
Globe Life Park.
I think it's been renamed, but anyways.
Oh, it's true.
Anywho,
that's neither here nor there. I'm going to go Southern Utah.
Yeah, give me the Thunderbirds over Tarleton.
I'm going to go Southern Utah as well. But to me, this is a litmus test of if the magic we saw to Justin Miller in the spring is not fool's gold, he's got to look good in his first FCS game. And again, Idaho fans, don't we get so damn pissed? People like Sac State, people like Southern Utah get an FCS game. We'll get there someday. But yeah, Southern Utah.
Hey, we got Drake next year, who just got stomped by Montana.
About damn time. That's what we need. That's what we need. And we got Dixie State coming in the future.
I'm not going to say
rolling through the six with my.
I'm not going to say you should say thank you to me, but
you're welcome.
No, I'm just saying. I had worked with Tim Mooney on that one a little bit. Anyway, keep going on.
I just love how we're at our sixth game, and it took us that long for one person to stray. Well, to be fair, all the other games were garbage. South Dakota State at Cal Poly.
South Dakota, not South Dakota State.
They just beat. Sorry, South Dakota. The Yotes.
Yotes
just beat NAU. Not a good look for the team I thought could be sneaky this year. Fork and A Cotton, like. I guess Cal Poly could South Dakota us last week, and we'll all be like, holy crap, maybe Cal Poly's legit, but I'll take Poly.
Yeah, you want to
I can't believe it. I don't know why. I'm gonna lose this week. I quit.
I love it. I mean, again, as the big Bo Baldwin guy here, I love that. There is no way in hell. South Dakota.
Give me South Dakota and San Luis Obispo. Beautiful, by the way. Make it there if you have a chance.
Yeah, I think we're in slow next year, maybe.
Yeah, so the South Dakota resume includes a narrow loss at Kansas, in which the Kansas fans stormed the field.
Well, we could beat Kansas.
Exactly. This was just to make fun of Kansas. Think of all the millions of dollars that have been poured into that program, including bringing over Les Miles, and their Les Miles is not there anymore. But anyway, that's a ton. They had Charlie Weiss there for a while. Yeah. Kansas has pissed money away on football with nothing to show for it, to the point that they are storming the field against an FCS team that is not going to come close to winning its conference. And then South Dakota annihilated NAU 34-7. So, South Dakota wins this.
I'm going to save this one for last, actually. We got one good game. Northern Arizona at Arizona. Oh, God, geez. Arizona. I mean, Jesus. This week is so boring.
Yeah, I mean, Pac-12 school, it's Arizona. Come on.
Yeah, I'll take Zona in Zona over the directional Zona.
Yeah, I voted NAU last in our Big Sky Power Rankings poll, and I will try to find a way to vote them 15th after this game. Arizona wins.
All right, next up, Dixie State, or I guess soon to be Utah Tech versus UC Davis, Aggies, which would be UC Davis for those that don't know.
UC Davis by a mile.
Davis over Dixie.
Yeah, Hunter Rodriguez is looking like a much better passer than he did in the spring, and UC Davis looks for real. So UC Davis easy.
Yeah, I use alliteration in all my answers. If you guys can pick up on that, and it made me really proud of myself to figure a creative answer every time. So, cheers to me. Yeah, thanks.
Here's a star. Next up, big one. Number 3 versus number 9 or 10. James Madison traveling to Ogden, Utah to play the Weber State Wildcats. I'm going to be there. I'm stoked as stoked could be. I'm going to go neutral wear purple here. I'm almost half tempted to not pick because I'm afraid there'll be quite a bit of James Madison fans and Weber fans bought my ticket. I mean, possibly no Bronson Barron. I think this one might be bad for Weber. Dukes.
Yeah, I don't think that Weber matches up great with JMU. I'm going JMU.
The Dukes dominate.
Yeah, Chris, Bronson Barron, certainly based off reporting out of Weber, shouldn't be playing. And that means they may play as many as 3 quarterbacks against James Madison. So, yeah, I mean, Weber, no question, they're good. But I just don't think they're going to win this game. I will point out, though, pretty brave non-conference game to schedule. The Montana schools have multiple FCS games, which is cool, but they don't actually schedule anyone. They schedule wins. This is a real question. Yeah. Top 10 game, and this is also a home and home. So for next season. So congrats, Weber. You're not going to win, but keep doing it.
I have a
And-
question real quick. Why does Western Illinois how much are they like a quasi Big Sky, Montana or an Eastern?
And Drake, I think they just flop.
every
like-
freaking year. But I don't get it. Like why is Western Illinois why are they the Big Sky body bag game? Why do they sell themselves to us? Like I get Drake's a Pioneer League non-scholarship football, but what the hell is Western Illinois?
Wait, Alex, you're in athletic administration and you don't know about the Western Illinois Big Sky Challenge?
I mean the leathernecks of Western Illinois.
Yeah. You don't know about that official Western Illinois Big Sky Challenge?
Every year, like it's amazing to me. Like, do they not want to? They only come out west. They don't want to I don't know, schedule like a CAA school occasionally. It's like Villanova. They're like, oh, let's go play Montana. Sure, why not?
I think the issue is we have that challenge from the Missouri Valley, and Western Illinois is the obvious bottom feeder of.
God.
So it's more noticeable because they get beat every year by somebody.
Every year, I swear they're like a Big Sky school. We should just invite them. Like, screw it, might as well.
No, I've heard Macomb is someplace I would rather go to Cedar City. Like, not even ifs, and buts about it.
Who has a better track around their field? Sacramento State used to be the winner, but the gold isn't as bright anymore. Leathernecks have a pretty nice looking track because they have like a 4 student section behind one of the end zones.
God,
I will just defer to saying I'm not a track expert.
What a place! All right,
We'll call Eric Highsaw for the answer.
That was
yeah. All right, and then the last one. We have a Tubbs at the Club derby this weekend as the West Hand Hammers are trying to bring the hammer down against Glory Man United. We'll get our picks in first here, Brian. I'm sorry, Boatman. I am laying behind the Hammers in this one. I think Man U is fine. They'll do fine. Cristiano is fine, but Hammers.
He's fine. He's fine. Brian,
he'll be good.
Brian, you can pick draw here. There is a third option. You can pick a draw. So
I already have my strategy.
Oh,
I was going to wait for you guys to go.
Oh no, it's their game. They're going last.
Okay, Dallas. Here's my strategy. Dallas, you have to answer. Who do you want to win?
Who do I want to win?
Yeah.
Oh, he's at West Ham's team.
My team, West Ham.
And who is West Ham playing?
Man United.
Man United's going to win.
Fair enough.
Fair strategy.
That's a pretty good strategy.
Hey, you don't lose that energy. You started this podcast with an MMFS, all right, baby? We need that energy still. Things are turned around in the Hammer household.
Chris, you said we're going to lose. You realize that we have the longest non-losing streak in Premier League history, right? Like we haven't lost an away game in the Premier League since like 2019. So that's a bold take there. Give me United. We're gonna win by 2 goals. We're gonna outscore West Ham 3-1 because that's all we do is just score. So
you didn't lose in a season where there was no fans. Congratulations.
Well, we're in the Champions League. Have fun in the Europa Conference League. This is fun. This is why soccer's great. Good thing Sean's not here. Sorry, Dallas.
You're good. I gotta go Man United. For anybody that follows the Premier League, Michail Antonio, one of West Ham's 3 best players, realistically their only striker, he got a red card in the last game and is not going to be playing. So
I did not know that.
They're going to have to go false 9 with somebody.
Jared Bowen. It's Jared Bowen season.
I'll take it. I'll stick with my guns.
Not a chance. Maybe in the EFL Cup on next Wednesday, maybe there's a better chance. But
Chris backing Jared Bowen over Cristiano Ronaldo. Just think about that.
I just want to give Dallas a little support. I didn't know he was going to throw his own team under the bus.
Oh, God, there's no way they win.
Did you ever watch any of our basketball episodes, Chris?
Sadly, a lot of them, but I was pretty drunk for all of them. So. Anywho, hammer down segment. Dallas, you got 30 seconds to a minute. Anything you think we missed or you want to lament about how correct somebody was?
I think he wants to filibuster about soccer.
I did think about filibustering about soccer or football. I kind of wanted to just go over really quickly. Let Boris throw. It obviously didn't do anything against Indiana. Not that anybody was going to do a whole lot against Indiana, but that's what I want to see this weekend. I want to see CJ get the bulk of the snaps to kind of even it out between him and Beaudry. And I'd like to see Boris actually do something out there. What the hell is the point of trotting out a quarterback, quote unquote quarterback, if he's going to run the read option? And we're all pretty positive he's going to get screamed at by Paul if he even attempts to throw it once. So what's the point? You're not tricking anybody. I know that Paul, we all make the jokes about Paul gets his jollies off about being so smart and sneaky with people, but you're not doing anything by trotting out a quarterback that's essentially just an extra running back out there. Nobody's going to fall for it. It's not going to do anything. Let the guy throw, and maybe let's try a little bit of trickeration here. That's my rant is hashtag let Boris throw.
Hashtag trickeration.
All right, I'm all in it, and you can tell our listeners are officially over, so are we. We went from like 12 concurrent listeners to 3. Oh, we're up to 5. Anywho, closing the bar. Make sure you check in the Vandals play on the Pac-12 North Network. I believe I saw, or Pac-12 Oregon. It's not even on the regular Pac-12 network. I believe I saw. Anywho, well, that makes sense.
Thanks, George. Thanks, George Klivikoff. I thought you were better than Larry Scott, but I guess not.
So the game's gonna be a little hard to find, but if you want to tune 12:30 Pacific time, 1:30 Mountain, the Vandals would sure like to see you. I know there's gonna be a clan of Vandals going down. Oh gosh, the clan. We're back to that. Groups of Vandals going down to the.
I'm gonna just pull the plug on this.
You could say
we're still off the rails.
You could say
see you guys in the
tribes.
next one.
Tribes of
Go Vandals!
Fine.
Holy smokes, what an episode!
Go Vandals! Woo!
Go Vandals.
So raise your glass and have a drink with me. Here's to the Vandals in the crowd, all just out there living the dream. Right up one and only Moscow drink.